Hey guys, today we're going to talk about Hadoop HDFS DFS commands. So we're going to cover these. You can watch me fumble through these commands, so you don't have to. Hopefully, any syntax mistakes I make or switches I make, common errors, this will help you avoid mistakes too. So this is with some of these commands, it's my first time actually trying them out. Some of them I've used before, and some of them I haven't. So I've actually written this guide. And I'm actually going to go through every single one of these commands and just demo how they work. So I wrote the guide, didn't test them yet, and today we're just going to go through every single one of these and test them out, see how they work, see what surprises us, and so on. So we're going to go through this. It should make things a little bit more interesting for definitely for me and hopefully for everyone watching. So this guide is actually about Hadoop HDFS commands in general, and then this section, which we're doing today, is Hadoop HDFS DFS commands. Now, I have not expanded. Now, the DFS commands are like file system commands, like copying files and LSing and stuff like that, permissions, etc. They deal with the actual files in the file system. Now, there are other administrative commands for managing your cluster and whatever else that come along that are actually HDFS commands. And those are not updated in the guide as of the time of recording this video, and we're not covering them today either. We're only doing the HDFS commands, just the Hadoop HDFS commands. So that's all we're doing today, but it's still a fair amount of stuff. We're going to go through all of these commands. I've documented them and shown all of the parameters and everything else, and we're going to demo them here. So that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. So you'll find the link to this in the description. Let's make this a little wider. There you can see the URL. But we're going to put a link to this in the description of the video. And so we're also going to embed this video into this site probably. Anyways, so we're going to kind of go down the list here. I'm going to keep this page off screen and pull it on screen when needed. So pretty much that, because I'm going to want to show the terminal where we're testing things out. Now, I have a simple non-redundant, sort of non-redundant. In terms of HDFS, it's redundant. I have like 10 worker nodes for HDFS, but my name node is not redundant. I spun up a quick little, basically a quick little HDFS cluster on Docker, so I can just spin it up, tear it down really quickly for testing purposes. So this is my little Docker. My little Docker Hadoop HDFS commands lab that I created. And you can still see it's still up there from the previous video I recorded. There's some commands on the screen. So I'm going to move this over. And I'm going to try to go through these. I haven't set these out in a convenient order for testing. But we're just going to see how this works. So let's see here. I'm going to put this partway off the screen, and we're going to start with append to file. I mean, it would be nice if I had started with copy files up or upload or whatever, just going in order, going down the list. Some of these I'm going to kind of gloss over, and some of these I'm going to go into more detail with. So let's start with append to file. So let's talk about the command before we demo it. So you'll notice you say HDFS DFS append, and this is assuming all your environment variables are set, so you can just run the command without needing the full path. And generally, you would use I'm not going to do this. You can use a URL like this, say HDFS, and the host name for your name node or one of your nodes. So like name node 1 or NN1. In my testing environment, it's name node 1, not NN1. But whatever the case, this would be the host name. This is your protocol, and this is the actual file you're operating on. That's how that works. Now, if your environment variables are set up properly, you can basically just use a slash, or you could just say /file1. So instead of saying this, you just say this. And that's a little bit easier and cleaner to work with. And we're generally going to opt to just do that in this demo. So there's that. So appending to file. This appends one or more local files into a single destination file. So it basically just concatenates files together. So you could have two local files on your local system and concatenate them to a new file. So almost like the cat command, but there's an actual cat command here, concatenates, except this doesn't send them to a file. It just outputs them, and you could redirect them to a file or whatever. Anyways, let's try out append to file first. Let's see if we can demo this without having anything prepared. So clear this out. Look at my history. So yeah, this is so we're going to start out just listing what's there instead of the append command, just to see what files we have. And there we go. And I am here. So I have a few files in here actually. So cat all these out. Yeah, not a whole lot, just some test data. So like cat test 1, cat test 2 has there you go. You have some data in there. So echo some stuff over to test, just to get this ready to test out. Echo some, I'm going to say test 1 data, blah, blah, blah. Test that over test1.txt. So cat test 1, and that's our test 1 data. Here's our test 2 data. Now we're going to upload these, sort of. So local files, basically. So we have these are local files on my name node. So we're going to concatenate these local files over a file on our HDFS file system. So if you look right here, these are the local files, and the remote files on HDFS will look like this. This is what we have. And so let's try this out. So we're going to say HDFS DFS-append to file, and then we're going to say test 1. Let's just try it with just test 1, and then this is the second file we specify is actually on our HDFS file system. We're going to say that let's just call it test3.txt, and so this is not working out so well for us. So append to file, and apparently, well, that's great for this demo. It doesn't like that. So it is giving us the usage, FS, general options, append to file, local source, and destination. Seems to be correct. So we're doing something wrong here. But let's see if I were to say, let's just check my history real quick, and we can actually let's just try it with. Okay, so we're running into a problem right away before we even test out our first command. So yeah. Paste this in here, and still no good. And looks like I was just typoing that. So this is where the source of frustration was coming from. So remove the extra P in there, and we're going to append that one file over the other file. So there we go. Now if we do we can run, let's see here, ls, and we're going to see test 3 should exist. And let's try to cat that. So, yeah, so txt, and let's see here. So we're actually going to need to remember to also specify the slash. Yeah, so and there we go. Now our file is actually there for real. And we can see the contents of the file match the first file that we appended over it. So let's say if we decided to append the same thing over it again. It was basically appending to an existing file. Cat it out. And there we go. We just added the same thing twice. So let's say if we wanted to put test1 and test2 over an existing file. Now we're going to have like 4 lines. Now let's cat it to verify. And there we go. Look at that. 4 lines of data. So first we appended this line from test1, this line from test1 again. Then we appended test1 and test2 right here. And that pretty much gives you what you would expect. So beyond that, let's see what else we want to actually cover with append to file. Yeah, so you could say ignore CRC to disable checksum verification. No, sorry, I'm reading on the file below that. All right, so you could actually read in from std in if you use a dash. So that's worth demoing. So let's give that a shot. And that worked. So yeah, basically you read in from std in, use a dash for that. It appends it to the end of this file, and you just hit Control C to exit out of that. Yeah, so moving along to the cat command. We've already seen how that works. It just cats a file. You can do 2 files if you like. So and that's the one that has ignore CRC to disable checksum verification, which we're not even going to look at right now. We're not going to get into that. So let's see here. Let's see what files we want to cat out. So, all right, we have. Let's just say we want to use. Let's just say test 1, 2, and 3. So test1.txt, test2.txt. And there you go. All of these are catted out. Interestingly, it basically did them all separately. Like it gives you this little bit of header information for each file that it reads as it's reading it. But it gave you the output for each one of those. That's not actually what's inside either, or is that what's inside either of these files? It appears it actually looks like it is. Any case. We'll look into that more when we actually pull these files down onto our local file system and see what's inside these. So let's go a little bit further and look at the checksum command. We can take a checksum of a file. So let's start out with just one file, and you just change this to say checksum, and run the command. And there we go. We see an MD5 checksum. So that's nothing too exciting there. That's exactly what we would expect. So moving right along, we have the ch group command. So let's take a look at that on screen. All right. So basically, not a whole lot of options here. You just specify the group you want it to be, and use a -R for recursive. Now, I don't actually have any groups defined in HDFS, so this may or may not work. I have not added any, so we may not be prepared to demo this command very well, but let's give it a shot anyways. CHGRP, and we're going to say, I know group 1 doesn't exist, GROUP1, and we're going to run this anyways just to see, and it looks like it attempted to change that. So that's interesting. So there we go. We have changed the group on this. It looks like that. I'm 99% sure group 1 is not defined. I hadn't created that. Looks like you can just ch group something to whatever you want arbitrarily. So that is interesting. that's excellent for our demo also. chmod, so we can change the permissions. These commands work very similar. Almost all of these commands work similar to their Unix equivalents, Unix or Linux equivalents. So you can use like you can use read, write, execute, or you could use numbers too. So you can set them by bits. Read, write, execute. There are advantages to each, but read, write, execute is just easier. And this is yeah. Anyways, so you could say let's just try this just to see. Anyways. So instead of chgroup, we're going to chmod this. All right, so chmod test3 to add all permissions. And so I'm not doing that correctly. All right, let's try read, write, execute, read, write, execute. Alright, so I probably don't want to be running the... Oh, and I should note here, I probably should note this at the beginning, that HDFS and there are two commands. There's a Hadoop command and the HDFS command. They're basically equivalent. With Hadoop, you run Hadoop FS, and with HDFS, you run HDFS DFS. So, anyways... Doesn't seem to like this. Doesn't seem to like this either. Alright, so it looks like it's okay with the permissions if they're specified as 777. Or you know, using an octal notation rather than just the letters like read, write, and execute. So that seems to be working now. Let's see here. Let's just list this out just to verify the change. This should give all permissions. So see how we have read, write, execute for all users. So we have like owner, group, and the world. So the first three are the owner has read, write, execute, the group has read, write, execute, and the world has read, write, execute. And the first one here just specifies if it's a directory or a file. And in Unix it could be other things like links or device files or whatever else. I don't think those are supported in HDFS. In any case, let's see here. So let's try something else. Let's try, say, for example, 755. And there we go, changed. And let's just verify that. And you'll notice we took away the, so we have read, execute, but no write. We took away write permissions for everything. We could say like 754, and let's see what that does. 754 will actually, yeah, so the 4 will only give you read permissions. So 4 for read permissions, and you could actually just say 0 if you want to remove permissions. So there we go. Let's try that out, and there we go. Took away. So for the world, we took away all permissions, and for group, we have read, execute, and for the owner, read, write, execute. So yeah, you can set permissions like that. Just know which of these stands for what. It appears that just specifying R, W, or X does not work, as it does work in Unix, which was kind of a surprise. All right, now moving along from chmod and chown, we have copy from local. So I'm going to move this over on the screen. So yeah, copy from local looks like this. And there are a few. Basically, what this does is copies a file up from your local machine up to the to your remote HDFS file system. There's a few options you can use for this, like P to preserve permissions, ownership, access, modify. You can also overwrite if it already exists, so use the -F to overwrite an existing file. And you can use a -L for lazy persist. I'm actually not sure offhand what that one actually does, but so we're going to skip over that one for today. And you can also skip creating a temporary file if you like. So use a -D for that. So let's give this a shot just to demo it. So copy from local. And let's say test1.txt. And let's just call this 4, test 4. Or you know what? Let's yeah, we could copy here. And there we go. Test 4 is uploaded. All right, so now we're going to try to upload that same file, and we're going to watch as it fails. So file exists. So as we were seeing in the documentation, you can specify a -F to override that. Now it's the exact same file, so it doesn't really matter, but here goes. Let's overwrite it. And there we go. We just overwrote the file. So that's pretty nice. That's a nice thing to be aware of. Let's see if we just specify this, just the directory we want to put it in, and that seems to work too, which is interesting. Well, not interesting. I did put the -F in there, so it would work actually. Let's create another file. Echo test5.txt. Just to not be too creative, we'll just increment the number. Just throw anything in that file, and then we're going to copy from local to this directory just to see how that works. So type a 5 there. All right, there we go. No need to force it, and there we go. So that uploads test 5, and let's list the file out just to make sure it actually made its way up there. And there we go. There's test 5 uploaded just fine. And you can see the actual time on test 1 is very recent. So yeah, looks like, so we can confirm that was written even though the data is exactly identical. We can see that we still overwrote the existing file. Now, copy to local is the opposite of that. So let's say if I remove test 5 on my local file system, so I don't have it anymore, you can say copy to local. And let's see here. Yeah, you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to call it test5.txt. And there we go. We got our test 5 back. And there, yeah, so there it is with the garbage data that we put in it. So there we go. That is a copy from local and copy to local. So with those, you can, and these are the parameters for them. If you want to be able to reference these parameters, just go check out the document. The link is in the description, so you'll be able to find that right there. Yeah, if you want to go over any of these commands on this document, link is in the description. And from this document, we actually have at the bottom we have references to a bunch of different official guides and reference documentation here if you want to look at that also, which could be useful. So moving right back up to where we were, pretty early on in this document, we have a pretty long ways to go. Moving along from copy to local, we have count. So this just shows a count of bytes, files, and durs under a specified path. So let's look at the syntax of that before we actually run it. -H for human readable, very useful. We've gone over that with some other commands. It'll give you like gigs or megs or kilobytes instead of just giving you the raw number of bytes. You can show quotas with a -Q, a V for the header, use a U to limit only usage and quotas. What else? Show usage and quota for each storage type. Exclude snapshots, which is pretty useful. And you can, if you just don't want to take them into account, and for each file you can show erasure coding policy. So let's give that a shot. So count is we're basically going to run count and count, so HDFS DFS count, and just say the remote location. Just pass that as the last parameter here, and there we go. All right, so yeah, so that works just fine. We can see we can see the count for the root directory of our HDFS. Now we add a -h to make it human readable. There we go. We can see the usage in megs. So we can see we have 24 megs used. A lot of that is because I just uploaded my Etsy directory from my local. Now let's try that with a V just to see headers. So -v, and yeah, so dir count, file count, and content size path name. So by default, it won't give you the headers because this just makes it easier to parse this with the script. You wouldn't have to exclude this the header, which is kind of a convenient feature. But yeah, if you're not familiar with the output, it's very helpful. So -v, so dir count, we have 90 directories, 509 files, and yeah, this is the data usage. So let's limit it to only usage and quotas. So -u. Let's try this. So yeah, that gives us a quota. I'm going to guess that he's for exabytes, probably. So space quota, remaining space, and blah blah blah. All right. So moving along, we have let's see, T for show. Let's try a T instead of that U. Let's try T. All right. So show usage and quota for each storage type. So we only have one storage type. So yeah, I believe we have to combine this with a U. Yeah, there we go. And so for each storage type, so we'll see different. That gives us more quota information. So SSD quota. So yeah, I guess different types, archive quota, etc. We don't have all of that stuff. We haven't separated things based on like SSDs and other disks. These are just HDFS nodes running on. We have 10 of them, and they're running with a replication factor of 3 by default, and they're running on Docker instances on a virtual machine on my development workstation. Basically everything running Linux. And anyways, moving along, we have let's see, exclude snapshots. So I don't know if we have snapshots, but let's try excluding. Oops. All right, so yeah, don't do that. We're going to try it without excluding snapshots, and then we're going to try to exclude snapshots. So -x. And yeah, so no change because we apparently don't have snapshots. We'll get to snapshots later. But there shouldn't be snapshots. I haven't configured anything like that, and there's practically nothing on here. And it's just a development system. So anyways, for each file, show erasure coding policy. Let's just try this, E. All right, so EC. I guess this is the erasure coding policy. I couldn't give you a whole lot more background on that right now, but in case you want to see that, that's how you would do that. So moving along, we have the copy command. So you can copy files from one place to another on your HDFS file system. So this is not for uploading or downloading. I'm not sure. We should try and see if we can use it for that. But yeah, generally you would use this. So let's start from scratch. All right, HDFS DFS -cp, and we're going to say You say test5.txt to test6.txt. So that should copy between those two locations. And actually, that's interesting. All right, so I meant to copy them on HDFS, but that's actually a good test. Yeah, it did not copy it locally. All right, so this can't be used for downloading files, it appears. But let's take a look at, you know what? Let's just take a look at what's in our root file system on our HDFS file system. So we see nothing here. So that does not seem to have done anything, which is interesting. Anyways, I'm not going to investigate further. I'm just going to type in the command correctly without typoing it this time. So add a slash, and here we go. Same output. Let's see if it worked. And there we go. There's a 6. So before no 6, now we have a test 6. There we go. All right, so that's how you copy a file. Now, say if we try to copy that same file again, it's going to give us an error. File exists. So you can use a -f to copy it again. And there we go. We copied the file again. All right. So next, we're going to try to look at creating snapshots and deleting snapshots and renaming snapshots. So a lot of snapshot-related stuff. I'm going to move the documentation on screen just so we can just to take a look at the syntax and everything before we demo these. All right, so create snapshot creates a snapshot of a directory. Must be a snapshotable directory. Here's the syntax, pretty simple. Camel case, create snapshot, and the directory you want to create a snapshot of. And you could specify the name of the snapshot if you want. Delete snapshot. I believe this is actually a typo in my documentation that we're going to fix before this video is ever released. But any case, let's see, rename snapshot is just rename snapshot, and that's basically, yeah, so those are the commands. We're going to give those a shot now. All right, so moving right along here. So let's say, you know, let's ls this first just to see what we have. And let's do the Etsy directory. I mean, I could create a directory, but I'm just going to do the Etsy directory. I mean, it's big, but actually, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. All right, so HDFS, HDFS DFS dot create snapshot, and we're going to say Etsy. Is not a snapshotable directory. Okay. All right, so looks like this directory is not snapshotable. We can fix that. So let's quick take a look. I haven't documented this command yet, but you can say HDFS ls snapshotable dir. Let's see how this works. And apparently no directories are snapshotable, which is not too surprising. So let's try to allow snapshots on this. And yeah, let's try here, Etsy. And looks like it succeeded. So let's ls the snapshotable directories. And there we go. Etsy is snapshotable. So let's try to create a snapshot from it. Create snapshot. And there we go. We created a snapshot. And I'm going to just copy this command away real quick. And actually, I've got that. All right, so if we look, let's try LSing this and etc. Now, this should be a hidden directory called .snapshot, I believe. So, and there we go. So there's our snapshot in the snapshot directory. All right, so let's see here. Let's try creating a snapshot that's let's name the snapshot. Let's call it snapshot 1. Let's create another one called snapshot 2 just for good measure. Oops. So there we go. There's our named snapshots. Now, let's take a look at one of these. Let's look at snapshot 1. All right, so yeah, basically, nothing too special here. You can just see the files at the time of the snapshot. So you could change these and then see the difference if you wanted. But anyways, moving along here, let's take a look at let's try deleting a snapshot. I'm going to try deleting number 2, or no, number 1 rather. Let's delete our snapshot 1. So let's see. And you're going to have to specify there we go. Now we have only snapshot 2 in that automatically generated snapshot with dated directories. So that's today's date and the time I'm actually recording this. According to my VM, that's not actually the real time. The day is correct, not the time. Yep. Anyway, let's see here. Copy this guy out. And we're going to fix that in the documentation. And let's move right along here. So rename a snapshot. So we're going to rename 2 to 3. So pretty similar syntax. Nothing too crazy. I should just type this out from scratch. Rename an AP shot. So we're going to say, so we need to specify the directory, etc, rename snapshot, then say 2, 3. All right. So let's see how this goes. And we see we've renamed it to snapshot 3. So that's how easy it is to rename a snapshot. Now, let's say if we wanted to give this one a meaningful name. So copy this guy. Or I guess this name is kind of meaningful since it has the date. It's probably more useful than than saying snapshot 1, 2, 3, etc. But anyways, we can rename it to whatever we want. Let's call this one snapshot 0. Paste that in there. See how this goes. There we go, snapshot 0. So there we go, snapshots. We're not going to go any further into snapshots today. So let's move right along here to DF, show free space. So we're going to do this on the Etsy directory. df, and it's going to show us a lot of free space. So yeah, this is not easy to read. So we can add the -h parameter, and yeah, apparently -v is supposed to show the header, but we're already seeing the header line. So that's interesting. Yeah, it doesn't like that. All right, that is sorry. That is for du. So df it shows the header line by default. So and a -h will show it in human readable. So there's df-h. We can see we have like 3.5 terabytes. Pretty sure my host, the drive I'm doing this on, is only a. Pretty sure this is just a terabyte drive. And yeah, so I have a terabyte on here, and yeah, I have like another. Yeah, this isn't even. Yeah, I don't have any other drives that I have mounted on the system even right now, so I'm pretty sure it's just setting that as an upper limit. I should probably look into that, but any case, yeah. So this is the limit we're given, and we're only using like 83 megs of it. Yeah, size and available. Yeah, so the size is 3.8 terabytes, and we have this many. So yeah, this is on an M2 drive on my development machine. So anyways, I mean, I have plenty more. If I were storing this on my NAS, I have like a never-ending amount of space. I have way more than 4 terabytes. Anyways, so that's the df command. Note that the header is shown by default. The df command, by the way, shows the amount of free space in a file system, or whatever file system that current directory is in. So yeah, doing Etsy's on your root of that file system. It's whatever that HDFS file system is. So it's kind of meaningless to specify a subdirectory with this command. If you want to do subdirectory, you could use the du command. So yeah, notice how those are the exact same thing. So yeah, used, available, etc. All the same. So anyways, try the du command. It's the same thing. We're just going to keep the -h on there because without it, it's tough to read. So try du on root, and apparently that just shows all the directories within that. So on an individual directory by directory basis, it shows you the usage and everything. So and note that with du, it doesn't have a header. So you can show the header with a -v, which is what we want in this case, since we're not parsing this with a script. So we don't have to worry about like excluding that header line from our script. Anyways, like if we had a script reading this into a database, we would want to exclude the header line, so you would probably leave out the -v if this was being run from a script for that purpose. But anyways, yeah, here's the size of each directory. The biggest one is only like 35K, or each directory and file, basically the size of everything here. So, and sorry, the biggest one is in megs. So, yeah, that's Etsy. The Etsy directory is really big, and this bootstrap.log file is relatively small compared to it, but the tiniest ones are just a few bytes. These are my test files. So, yeah, you can do a -x to exclude snapshots. That shouldn't be too far off. Let's see, does Etsy change? Yeah, nah. So 23.9, apparently our snapshots, I guess because there's no difference in our snapshots, we didn't add any new data. It's not, there's no real difference, so it's not using up any extra space. So, I mean, if they were using up, if we did change a ton of data, we'd probably see more data getting used for that. Like if we changed the directory and then took another snapshot, but we didn't. So anyways, what else do we have to go? Aggregate, into -s for aggregate. So, aggregate. So yeah, that's the aggregate for that path that we're showing. Instead of showing all the individual files in it, you see the aggregate. So that's a pretty handy thing to have. Also, because what if you just want you don't want to have to total those up by hand. You just want to see how much your file system is using. Now with du, you could say etc. Now we're going to see the aggregate just for the etc directory. But let's say if we take that aggregate, the dash s off, and just run it again, and we're going to see all the files and directories underneath etc. So yeah, there you go. Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. So let's move right along to the du. Okay, so there's another command called. All right, so I'm going to move this back on screen real quick. So this was the df command and the du command. Don't get them confused. It's easy to just type one or the other if you're not paying attention, even if you know the difference very well. Anyways, the dus command, show a summary of file lengths. Don't use this anymore. It's been deprecated. So yeah, you could use so this is like that parameter we used before, the dash s for aggregate on the du command. There was a dus command specifically for that. Now we have the s option, and we don't even need this. This is deprecated. It probably works fine, but it's deprecated. In fact, let's just try it just to see. Dus. Let's try. Deprecated. It works, but it does give us a message saying it's deprecated. So there you go. There's a demo of that command too. Expunge. So delete any files in the trash that are older than the retention threshold. We don't have the trash on right now, so this isn't going to be too useful. And you can use a dash immediate to ignore the interval. We have this interval here. So anything past this interval will get deleted permanently. Anyways, let's just run expunge just to see what happens. I'm 99% sure I don't even have the trash enabled. And there's expunge. So it didn't do anything. Sorry, this is not the best example in the world. I'll probably have to do another guide specifically on using the trash and expunging things and retention periods and all that, because that's actually something people search for a lot and people do want to know about. So unfortunately, I'm not going into detail on that in this video, but I will have to do that at some point in the future. Now, there's another command called find, and find is find files and perform an action on them. All right, so yeah, this is kind of similar to the Unix find command. So and the easiest thing is just to print them out. So you're just going to find the files. Now you could do other things to them too. You could use iname instead of name to do case insensitive matching. All right, so let's see here. We want to, what's something case sensitive we could look for? I'm not even sure if there are case sensitive files in here. All right, so let's try this. HDFS DFS-find, and if you just leave it like this, let's see if it just finds, it finds all your files, just like on Unix. So this is pretty similar to the Unix command. So let's try searching for this. Now, so we can say find, and so this is the directory we're going to find in. We can do that in the etc directory if we wanted to, but let's not. That's the same thing except you type etc. Just the direct, like you go like that, find everything in the etc directory. So that's pretty simple. Doesn't need any further explanation. But let's say if you say name, all right, and say primary root CA and dash print. So we're going to print out any file name that matches that. And it looks like it's not working. That's fine. Let's see if wildcards work for this. There we go. So wildcards. So unless you know the exact file name, use some wildcards, similar to Unix. What if we had? What if CA was lowercase? It won't match. So that's kind of suboptimal. Now on Unix, I believe there's like a -i option. Off the top of my head, I forget. But anyways, here we're going to say iname to make it case insensitive. So iname just like that. So if you don't know what's capitalized or not, you can still find things. There we go. It matches now. So that's a quick overview of the find command. Now let's do the get. Let's use the get command. And unfortunately, I didn't put these in a logical order. I just went through, I took these out of put these in the same order that they are in the manual. I really should group these group-like commands together. So like things to upload and download files, they should all go together. Some of them are, some of them are not. So unfortunately, the order is not that great. But we're going to do the get command. We could preserve permissions, ownership, etc., or we could overwrite the destination if it already exists with the -f and ignore CRC check. Copy CRCs also. Yeah, so those are the options. Let's give it a try. So this will copy to the local file system. Local file system, I have a few things. All right. So let's see what I have here. All right, so I don't have a test 6, so I can say get test 6. And there we go, there's test 6. Cat. And there we go. I was able to pull down the file and it still has its data in it. So that's the get command. So there's a few more having to do with ACLs. So show ACLs and for jars and files, R for recursive, and then we can say show extended attributes. So in recursive, you can say dump this attribute value. So you can specify the attribute value you want to dump. Dump all extended attribute values, etc., etc. So yeah, let's try these two commands: get FACL and get FATTR. So the ACLs and the extended attributes. So HDFS DFS -get FACL, and let's just say the root directory. And note that we have this is basically just giving us regular, it's just the group ownership and stuff like that. I'm actually not sure offhand if we can get more elaborate access control lists, or if it's just because we don't have them defined. And maybe we'll dig into that a little bit later. But I have not set these up myself before, so I'm not sure what else you might expect. But if you wanted to view any ACLs, this is how you do it. Right now, it's just showing us basic permissions and no ACLs. So if there were more elaborate ACLs defined, this should show them. Now, let's try the next one. So before we move on, let's try just with the -r. -r. There we go. We can do that for everything. So not too exciting. Now let's try get FATTR. All right. So get F. Yeah, I'm doing something wrong. All right. Get FATTR, show extended attributes. So this should work. Am I typoing this? Oh yeah, and I am. Well, I'm not typoing this, but I'm doing it wrong. So there are more. There are more required parameters. So you could say, so the -n is required. So yeah, I guess this is something that could trip someone up. So you can say user.myAttr if it were a custom attribute, and so if that attribute doesn't exist, which it wouldn't, you're going to get this message. So let's see here. I'm not sure what attribute I should be looking for, but let's see if I can find one. One thing you can do is you can actually say, instead of a -n, you can use a -d to get all of them. So use a -d, and you just get everything. And apparently there's nothing there. All right, so it looks like we probably should have skipped ahead here. Or I should have tested these out before using them. So let's see here. Yeah, so a little bit further down in my own documentation that I wrote myself, that I did not test until I started recording this video, you'll see we actually have the set fattr command. So this will actually set your own extended attribute if you want. So yeah, pretty simple. There's the name, the value, and in case you want to remove it. So anyways, let's try setting this. So HDFS DFS dash set fattr dash n user dot my attr1 dash v test1, and let's set that. Now let's say test2. All right. So this is how you set them. So when I scroll down later, I'm going to skip over this one because we're reviewing it right now. But let's see here. So get attr. Let's try listing them all. And because I assigned those to the same thing. All right. So attribute 1 is test1. We want to set attribute 2 to test2. Yeah, there we go. Now let's list them all, and we can list everything. So get fattr. There we go. We have 2 attributes defined. So let's say if we want to delete one of these, so we can say we should be able to just say x. Actually, you know what? Before we even delete that, let's see, get, I want to get one by name. So grab this attribute by name, and we only get the one attribute. If we grab them all, we get everything defined. Okay, there we go. So let's set the attribute. And instead of an n, we use an x to delete it, and don't assign a value. So let's see if we can delete this. All right, there we go. Now we'll list them all out, and we'll notice that there's only one of these set. Now let's say if we specifically wanted to get this attribute 2. It's going to tell us nothing's there, so at least 1 was not found, and 2, it is found. So there you go. That's how you can remove them also. So you can set, get, and remove. All right. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm not going to go further into these, but the next thing we want to go through, and I probably should have done this first also, is set FACL. So we can set ACLs. So let's see here. All right, so setting an ACL. So you have a few options. Have them all pretty much documented here. You can find this document in the link in the description if you want to just reference these. So you can modify ACLs, you can do it recursively, remove a default ACL, etc., etc. A lot of nice options. So let's set an ACL that looks like this. Well, let's make it a little bit more complicated. So we're going to try modifying an ACL. So we're gonna, the old entries will be kept and the new entries will be added. So something along these lines. I'm going to give this a shot right here. So something similar to this syntax we're going to demo. So HDFS DFS dash set FACL dash M. Well, let's say, and we're going to set this for Etsy, and I'd like to set a default user, basically exactly what I have in my documentation here. All right, let's see here. We're going to want to get the ACLs. So paste this in here and just check for the Etsy directory. And yeah, so nothing. So owner HDFS, and yeah, basically very similar to Etsy. So I'm not sure. So I supposedly added an ACL with this dash M, but I'm not seeing it. Cursive, so get ACL. So let's try dumping all the values. Dash D. Which sorry, that is also wrong. All right, and as it turns out, ACLs are disabled by default. You can enable them. We're not going to do that. That's kind of going out of scope, or we're not going to go that into depth in these today. What we've done so far is mostly correct and would work. Turns out, if you do want to be able to work with ACLs, you're going to have to enable them. You're going to have to set this variable in your configs. I'm not going to reconfigure my cluster for this video at the moment, but it's something maybe that will be explored in a future video, or maybe not, but we'll see. But anyways, yeah, if you're curious, this needs to be enabled for ACLs to work. So there's that. All right, so moving along, let's see what we want to cover next. All right, so get FA. All right, so we did FATTR. We've still got a pretty long ways to go. So we next is get merge, concatenate all files from a source and append them to a destination file. So yeah, let's move this over here and add new lines between files if you want, and skip empty files. So no new line if it's just an empty file. So that's kind of useful if you like that. So let's merge some files. All right, so yeah, these are on the local file system. We're actually going to edit them on the remote file system, but we're going to basically pick two commands and let's see here. Let's list these out on the remote file system. just so we know exactly what we're doing. So yeah, test1 data as we expect. And testing more. Okay, so if we want to run get merge, and let's see here. So we can add all files, source, and append them to a destination file. So we're going to need a destination file. So let's see here. Let's call it. Let's so it's not confusing. We're going to call this output.txt. So if you yeah, it looks like we have a permission denied, which is kind of interesting. And let's see. Actually, why is it doing that? Is this trying to write to our? Is this trying to write locally? Yeah, all source and append them to a destination file. It takes a source directory and a destination file as input and concatenates files in the source into the destination local file. Okay, so yeah, the destination file is local. So see if this even, I believe this is actually not supposed to, but let's see our, yeah, so it was trying to write to a file in the root directory and I'm not logged in as root. But anyways, there we go. We concatenated those two files into this one file. Now let's say if we do that again. Yeah, it just overwrites it. All right, that's perfect. All right, now let's say if we added etc, we could specify a directory. This is going to concatenate a lot, or a lot more anyway. There we go. We have all our etc configuration file, everything within etc in here. I'm not going to go through and look for the spaces between them if I wanted to. So there's no point in adding. Well, we can try the parameters just to try it, but we're not going to verify this. So we can say -nl to add new lines between files, and we can say skip empty file. So no new lines if the file is empty. We're not going to verify this. So cat the output, yeah, I'm not going to scroll through this and verify, oh, there's an empty file. I'm not seeing, yeah, we're not verifying that. But that's how that works anyways. So hopefully that is helpful. And let's see, make a note, because my documentation is not clear about the destination being local. So I'm going to need to fix that in my documentation. Alright, so moving along here, let's try head. Head should just be just like on Unix. So HDFS DFS -head test, say test1.txt. There's the head, which is the same thing as catting the file. Head will just take the first, it actually prints the first kilobyte of a file apparently. Anyway, well, you know what? Maybe we should come up with something more interesting than that. So let's see here. So there's apparently the first kilobyte from this file, which I would have thought would be a lot more. I guess that's yeah, I'm not even sure how many characters per line there, but all right, apparently that's a kilobyte to represent that. So say if you cat this file, we should see more. And we do. So there we go. That's the difference between catting and head. All right, so help gives help usage. So yeah, this is a good thing to have. Help. So if you don't happen to have the web page open, you can get help for practically, you can see the syntax of all these commands: stat, setrep, fattr, all of these things. You can actually use this as a reference for all of these, which is kind of nice. For me, I'm just using my document and the official manual. But anyways, that's the help command, worth knowing that it exists. Now the next one is the ls command. We've already used this quite a bit. There are a few, so let's move this on screen. There are a few options for this. Human readable, like the other commands we've done, are for recursive, sort by most recently modified, sort by size, reverse order sort. U for sorting, use the access time instead of modification time, only show paths, DIRs listed as plain files, and use a question mark instead of non-printable characters, and show eraser coding, whatever. So anyways, just a bunch of things. You can use that as a reference if you like. Let's demo these. So ls, just the ls command by itself, you can run it like this. That's fine and all. So let's say if you run -h, so human readable. There you go. That's a big improvement right there. -r will do recursive, so it's going to show you everything, almost like running find. What else? So you could say sort by recently modified, and you could say, let's say, I have to wonder if T and U go together, or if you'd use U by itself. And it looks like adding the U to the T changes the order. And it's changed even more by U if you just run U by itself. So, any case, I'm not going to verify the modification versus the write times for these, but the U is for sorting it. So as I specified before, the U sorts by access time instead of modification time. Otherwise, the T is just to sort by most recently modified. Anyways, let's see. We've covered. Let's try sort by size. So sort by size. Remove that T. Oh, whoops. I'm not sure if they would. We can sort by size, and there you go. Even though that's human readable, they sort by size nicely. So you'll notice, even though this is a higher number than this, it's below it because the sorting thing sorts by. It doesn't sort with the -k. It just adds this after the fact, which is pretty convenient. So you don't have to sort by bytes and then figure it out later. So there's that. And let's see what else. Let's try. Well, let's try combining with this with the -t. See how those conflict with each other. Yeah. So it looks like a -t takes priority. Now, let's do a -c to show only paths. What does that actually mean? All right. So only the paths to the files, and it doesn't show like the permissions or the owners or the size, the date, none of that. So that's kind of nice. What else? That's great for like input to a script or something. DIRs is plain files. I'm not sure what's meant by this. But oh yeah, so there you go. It treats this as if this was a plain file, so it's like running ls on the root directory. So you could say that for Etsy, and it treats it as if it's a file and not a directory. Whereas if you remove that, it's going to list everything inside Etsy because it's treating it like a directory. But if you treat it as a file, a plain file instead of a directory, then yeah, so then it just lists it'll list Etsy instead of the contents of Etsy, which is kind of nice. Let's see, what else do we want to show? Yeah, we're not going to demo the -q because we have nothing with non-printable characters, and we don't care about the erasure coding policy. So we have another command, lsr. It's a recursive ls. It's deprecated, so don't use it, but let's demo it anyways. lsr, and there we go, recursive ls. And if you caught that, it gave us a little error message at the beginning saying that it's deprecated, but then, or a warning message, but it let us continue on anyways. So let's see, move from local. So the next command, let's talk about the mkdir command. It's pretty simple. It's just like, so we're going to talk about mkdir, move from local, move to local, and the move command. So yeah, mkdir and move are pretty similar to Unix. You can use it to rename a file or just to move a file. You can't move between file systems with the mv, with the move command, mv. Mkdir, you can use the -p to automatically create parent files. It's just like on Unix, or almost just like. Then move from local basically downloads, and move to local will print out the message not implemented yet, according to what I've read. So let's try that out and see how that is. Oh, and interesting to note, this isn't just uploading a file. Move from local moves the file, not just copies it. So let's give these a shot. So my new there we go. Now if we try to do something like that with subdirectories, it should fail. Yeah, so it fails. So we can add the -p and it won't fail. There we go. We've created those. So you see two new directories. We see the my directory and the my new tester. And the my directory will contain a new, which contains, yeah, exactly as it's supposed to. Yeah. Anyways, not too exciting, but that it is what it is. Let's try move from local. What do we have? All right, let's echo out new junk to a new file 7.txt. Let's just call this test, just to be uniform and to not be too creative. All right, so there we go. HDFS DFS move from local test 7. So that moved it. Now let's see. We no longer have it in our local directory. Let's check on remote storage. There we go. We see that file has been uploaded, but it's no longer in our local directory. So move to local. Let's see. Let's see if we can move. And exactly as it's supposed to, it says not implemented yet. So it's not yet implemented. I'm running on Hadoop. So this is Hadoop 3, I believe it's 3.2.1. Let me just verify that I am thinking of the correct. I'm 99% sure I'm on Hadoop 3.2.1. So as of 3.2.1, it's not implemented. But let's just check. I think I have the package in my op directory. Yeah, Hadoop. We're running Hadoop version 3.2.1. Okay. All right. So we are now going to, we've done mkdir, move from, move to, and let's try the move. So just an MV for move, just like in Unix. Test 7 to test 8.txt. That's basically going to rename the file. So HDFS DFS-ls 8. Now let's say if we wanted to place this into the my directory. There we go. So it's no longer here. Now that's not going to rename it. It's just going to place it under my. Oops. Yeah, I already did that. All right. So ls, and there we go. We've moved it in there. Moved it, but not actually renamed it. If you move it within the same directory with a new name, it'll rename it. So the mv command can be used to move something, but also to rename it by moving it to a new file with a new name. Anyways, moving along, there's the put command. So you could put a local file on. So let's take a look at the parameters for this. So put, you can read from stdin with a dash, p to preserve for permissions, f to overwrite, L to lazy persist, and D to skip creating a temporary file. Now, these are all pretty straightforward. We've used similar parameters, at least for the P and the F. We're not going to cover the L and the D. So let's just try to put a local file up there. This should not delete the local file. All right, so let's try to put, I'm going to create a new file. Touch junk. Let's call this test 123.txt. All right. So HDFS DFS dash put. And let's call this test 123.txt. All right. So HDFS DFS put test 123. So that's our local file, and let's see here. We are going to put this into the root directory of our HDFS. And there we go. So nothing too exciting or surprising with this. We should be able to ls it, and it has been, there we go. There it is. It's uploaded. It's an empty file because we just touched it. We didn't echo anything into it. Now run ls on our current directory, and we still see test123 is right here. Didn't get removed because this didn't move the file, it just put the file. So this uploaded it. Now I think it's well worth trying out. Instead of a file, we can use stdin. But we're going to need to have a file name on the other side. So do something like this. Now it's going to read from, so I can put a bunch of junk data like this. And Control C. That should, it looks like that did it. So let's list the files. You can see a file named ASDF. Copying. Okay. So for whatever reason, it I'm not really 100% sure if that's because that's a temporary file or what the deal is with that, but it or if this is just what it decides to name it. So let's cat that file. All right, so that's kind of what we typed. Give Yeah, after the first enter, it didn't put anything else in there. So I hit enter, hit Control C. It looks like it just took this. Yeah, it just took this first string here. So apparently that's how that behaves. After hitting enter, then Control C. I mean, maybe I didn't give it enough time to copy it up there before hitting Control C. Or maybe I'm doing something wrong that we're just going to miss out on in this video. In any case, well, you know what? It's worth giving it one more shot, just to see. So I'm going to say ASDF2. I'm going to say blah test. Whoops, test. Now I'm going to wait. Control C it. So it uploaded it, and let's see what's here. Yeah, so it still says copying. I don't know why it does this. I am not that familiar with this command. Or with, I mean, the put command is all fine and great, but reading from std in, I don't know. But I guess if you wanted to, yeah, so it looks like it's all intact. So I think the first time I didn't give it enough time to copy because it's copying directly from a stream to the destination file. So I didn't give it enough time to actually upload that second. This is what I'm guessing. So it uploaded this, and I typed this in and hit Control C really fast, and it didn't have a chance to actually upload this portion before I hit Control C and cut it off. But yeah, I think there's probably a different way there's probably a different way to terminate this. I'm probably terminating it incorrectly. So let's see here. What else do we want to do? All right, here's a good way we can demo this. So we could say like echo hello. Now this is really how this is meant to be used. You're not really meant to type things on the command line anyways. So I'm probably supposed to send a different character rather than Control C. But I'm going to create a new one called 3. All right, now this is really meant to be piped to. If it takes from std in, you can just type the command and just type the input in. That's not really how it's meant to be done anyway, so I probably should be showing this the correct way. So I'm going to, whoops. All right, so all right, echo hello, and yeah, it cannot type today, and so HDFS DFS dash put dash ASDF 3. That should echo that out. Now, this is done correctly. So what I did here is wrong. I terminated this incorrectly. These are the temporary files that get written to. When it's done copying, it should rename it to just ASDF without the copying on there. Interesting to see. I guess this makes for good content for the guide, just so you know what this is, what causes this. But ASDF 3 is actually, yeah, this is what happens when you just echo to the command. So looks like this was done correctly. And let's cat this out just to see. Yeah, and there we go. So all as expected. That's excellent. All right, so let's see. We did the put command. Let's do the rm command. So rm works like this. Hold on one sec. All right, so put All right, so the rm command, nothing too crazy here. -F if the file doesn't, no error if the file doesn't exist. So if you're trying to RM a non-existing file, you won't get an error. That's great if you have a huge list of files and you don't know which ones do or don't exist, and you just want to get rid of them all and don't want to test ahead of time. So that's a use case for that. So, or one use case. And R for recursive. You can skip the trash, so it just gets deleted forever. That's great if you're over quota or something. It's assuming your trash is even enabled. And you could, adding dash safely, just ask for confirmation. All right, so yeah, this feels like a repeat because I actually already did a video on this, which has not been published, which will be published after the current video that I'm doing right now. So there's the RM, and then there's the rmdir command. Important to know the difference between these two. Our rmdir will only delete an empty directory. Now, if you're using wildcards, you can use this ignore fail on non-empty directory. That won't cause you to delete it, but you just won't get an error. Say if you're trying to delete a big list of directories and you're using a wildcard, and you want to delete the empty ones, but don't want the whole thing to fail just because one of them is not empty. But anyways, if you want to delete a non-empty directory, use the rm command with the -r. I believe lowercase or uppercase r is okay. And the rm command is for files and directories, and it can delete. If you want to delete a directory empty or not, a -r will do it. If you don't use a -r, it won't delete a directory whether it's empty or not. It doesn't matter. So that's that. We're definitely going to demo this. So let's say I'm going to mkdir delete me. And and actually I already have some directories that I can do. All right. Anyways, you can say rm won't work. All right, because it's a directory. You can say rmdir works totally fine. Now, you could say, let's say we want to do the my directory. Now that has a few things in there we placed already. So if you try to do an rm on my, it says it's a directory, it can't do it. Now you try to do rmdir, it's not an empty directory, so it fails. So you can do an rm-r. Now notice I'm using a lowercase r. It works just fine. Now a lowercase and an uppercase should work just fine. So let's see if I have, I'm going to do an mkdir more. All right. Now you can't run rmdir on that because, well, you could on the more, but you can't do it on delete me because it has a couple subdirectories. So yeah. Anyways. And because it doesn't exist. All right. So -p. To create it, to create the parent directories. Now, try to delete this. rmdir won't work. All right, directory is not empty because it has subdirectories. Okay, that's fine. All right, so what are we demoing here? All right, so we just want to try this one more time with a capital R for recursive. So we tried lowercase r. I'm going to show that capital R apparently, rm-capital R. Oops, and this is me not paying attention to what I'm typing. If you're doing something on a production system, you ought to be a whole lot more careful than I am being right now. But if you're in a lab environment, still be careful. But anyways, double check all your commands if you're in prod. Anyways, capital R. And there you go, it deletes it. So lowercase r, capital R does not matter. Let's do that one more time just for good measure. mkdir -p Same command, so you can see them together, lowercase r. Deleted, all right. So there's another command called RMR. Let's create this again to try the RMR. This is deprecated, don't use it, but there's a recursive delete command called RMR. All right, it works, but it gives you a message saying it's deprecated and you should use rm-r instead. Okay, good to know. All right, now we've gotten to the point in the guide where we are actually, I'm basically just going through this guide. We've already covered these set facal and set fattr, so we're going to skip those now. Set rep. Now this is actually pretty important. Now all this stuff about set facal and set fattr, these are totally useless if you don't end up using them, and you might not use them. They're probably not the first commands you should learn, but I think set rep is probably a more useful command. Now the -r is for backwards compatibility. We're not going to even bother putting that in. It shouldn't have any effect. Now the W is wait for replication, because it could take a long time to replicate. So if you want the command to wait for replication before it finishes, I believe that's supposed to, that way it'll wait until it replicates to everything, and then when the command completes, you know it's been replicated. So that gives you kind of like peace of mind. I believe that's why that's in there, but you might want to play around with that a little bit more, or be a little bit more sure of the behavior. Let's give this a shot. All right, so set rep, and you can do it. So by default, you're going to have your replication factor is 3. So I'm going to try setting this to a 4, and let's see here. So 3 for Etsy. So everything should be 3 currently. And it's setting it, it shouldn't be making any difference. But it's going through everything anyways. Now everything Etsy, I can change it to a 4. Change the replication factor. And let me see if I actually have name node. Can we get into my name node? Here we go. I go into utilities, browse the file. I should probably be able to show this from the command line. I don't remember the command off the top of my head, but interesting view of all the stuff we've been working on. These are all the files, the copying files and everything else. This is how you can browse this from, and you can see all the latest different sensational, crazy news stories in the news that are going on now in my bar here. Anyway. Getting off topic a bit. These are all the files we've been working with, and we can see the replication factor on these. It's a 3 for everything, because that's default. Our Etsy directory, so I guess it's showing it on a file by file basis. The directories themselves don't have a replication factor set, but let's see here. So let's go into Etsy and notice everything in here is everything that's a file is set to 4. Go into a subdirectory like apt. All right, I guess these are directories, and this is a file set to 4. Go into here, all the files have a replication factor of 4. So let's click on one of these just to see, and you'll notice replication factor that is set to 4. So that's why you have 4 workers. These are my worker nodes. I have 10 worker nodes, so I have like 10 nodes that I'm running HDFS on, and this one in specific is on. It could be on any 4 of those nodes, but this one specifically is replicated to worker 2, 9, 3, and 5, and it just picks them based on an algorithm. So that's that. That's kind of neat, and So that is my that's the web GUI for HDFS. So let's see, what else do we want to do here? let's try the, we're getting towards it. We still have a little ways to go, but stat command. All right, the stat command has shows stats in a specific format. Let's see. You can get stats on a file, and you use these little, you use like a modulus and or percent sign and a letter to get certain information about it. You can specify the format of what you want to get. So we're just, we're not going to do anything too. This is an example of how it'll look. We're not going to show them all individually. Let's try to get the stats on a file. So this is an incredibly useful command, but I could definitely see someone overlooking it. So let's see what we want to look for first. All right, so I'm going to paste that command in here, and we're going to look at, let's say, test1.txt. I shouldn't have to look at it. I should just know the name of that. It's not hard to guess the name of that file. And all right, so see how we said type in modulus F, and it gives you the type is a regular file. The modulus A for permissions, and then we say perm. This is just a label. The modulus A tells you to get permissions. So it says perm, like I specified here, perm. Then it gives you the actual permissions, and so on. So a time, and so on. Yeah, but you see how you can specify what you want in the report, and you get the output right here. So let's change this just a little bit. Let's say if we only wanted this, print that out. You have shorter statistics. So you can get whatever stats you want. Let's say if you only want the A time and the file name. You can do that too. And there we go. Now say if you want to change this like my custom text, it basically prints out whatever you say along with the stats that you specify with the modulus. So there you go. Alright, tail is, the next command is tail. It's the same as head that we specified before, except that you're using except that it's the tail of the file instead. And you can use a -f to follow. If this is a log file being written to continuously, a -f will follow the log just like on Unix. We're not going to do that here because we don't have any logs being written to on our HDFS file system. Let's see, head. So I'm going to look for my previous command because this file, this is a good file for an example because it's kind of a longer file, sort of relatively longer. So let's try tail this. This will show us the bottom of the file. So there we go. So that's tail, and you can do a -f to follow it, but it's not going to be. We're not going to do that because it's not being updated. There's no point. All right, so this next command is pretty useful. You can test files. This is great for scripts. You can say return 0 if it's a directory. Basically return 0 if, and D says if it's a directory, E if it exists. So F is if it's a file, S is if it's not empty, W if you have if it exists and you have write permission, R if it exists and you have read permission, and Z if it's 0. All right, so let's give that a try. So getting the same value here. All right, and there's the return value. So I probably should have done that after the first command. Run this first command. This tests that the file exists. We know it exists, and we can check the status. So this is basically returned as a bash return value. so it's not actually output on the command line. There we go, echo, and it's a 0. All right, so yeah, what else is just save this little notes file here. Sorry. All right, so yeah, that just tests that the file exists or doesn't exist. So this file does not exist. It returns a 1. This file does exist. So we want to probably do something a little bit more elaborate than that. So we are going to test. Let's test if it's empty or not. And it's not empty. So believe copy that up to root. So now we have an empty file up there called empty file, and we can verify it is empty. So let's run that same command, test S. So we'll run it on test 1 again. And we can see that it's 0, so it's not empty. So let's run this on empty file. Empty file 1. All right. And the return value is a 1. So yeah, this is great for a script. You would run this command in a script, save the variable, and do an if-else depending on the status of the file. So that is so let's bring this back on screen real quick. All right, so yeah, test it. You can test if it's a directory or any of these things, and they all work the same way. You're just testing something a little bit different. So text output a zip or a text record input stream as text. So yeah, if you have a file, if you have a zip file, you could you could output it as text. That's great for like tar.gz or zipped logs, I guess. Let's see if we can demo that. So let's see here. Zip I believe this is how this is going to work. Okay. All right, so turns out I don't have the zip command on this host because it's just a Docker container and contains a minimal set of tools. So I SCP'd up another test zip file to try this out. Alright, so we've uploaded a zip file, and let's try this out. Kind of curious how this command will work. and it looks like it's a bit corrupted. So, well, sort of corrupted. So it gives us the file name that's contained within it, and it gives us, this is actually the text that I put in there. So I had created it like this. Some data. So I put some data in there, zipped it up, and SCP'd it up. And looks like it's coming out like, so yeah, so I'm not sure the reasoning behind that, but looks like there's a lot of extra garbage data in there, or I'm using the wrong algorithm to zip it. But we're not going to go too much further with this command today, at least not today. Convenient command if you have something zipped up and you just want to see what's in it, and you're aware that this could happen, unless you do it correctly. So another command, the touch command. So we have touch and touch z. So touch command, just like in Unix, updates the modification and access times, and it creates an empty file if it doesn't exist. A few options you can use with it, like only access, only modification, specified timestamp if you want. You can change it to whatever you want. Don't create it if it doesn't exist. Then you have touch z, creates a zero length file, returns an error if a non-zero length file already exists. So if it already exists, you're going to get an error. So this one is for creating files and not for updating an existing file. So that's the difference between touch and touch z. So let's demo those. Also, we're going to do truncate after that. So truncate all matching files to a specified length. So any files, you can just trim them to a certain length. In case you have like a huge number of log files and you just want to trim them all to like, say 50 bytes and then process them for whatever reason, if you want them to all be uniform or whatever. There's probably use cases for that, but we're going to try that out too. So there's test 9. We touched it and it created a new empty file. So let's try touching an existing file, one that was created, say, on a different day. So test 6 was created 2 days ago. So let's try touching that. Run ls. And there we go. Test 6 and test 9 both have very similar, almost the same. They're only a minute apart. And test 6 has the date set after test 9. So that's good. That basically demos how that works. We're not going to actually specify. You know what? We can specify a timestamp. Let's give this a shot just to see. So we could say touch-t for a timestamp. This will be interesting to demo. We're going to set this about 2 years ago, or 1.5 years ago. So paste this in, copy that directly out of the guide, and it does not like that. So touch-t. Let's see. Apparently, it does not support the -t. Which is interesting. All right, so the touch C command is almost the same. Let's give this a shot. I mean, almost the same, but behaves differently. So anyways, you can run that twice. First time it creates an empty file. Second time, still an empty file there, so no error. So if you run an ls, you're going to see an empty file called test11. So right here, test11, empty file. So let's see. So touch Z. Now let's say if you tried to touch test1, that's not an empty file. That's where you get an error with test, or rather with touch Z. So that's how touch Z works. It's a little different from touch. All right, let's try truncate. Now we're going to truncate the bootstrap.log file. Because this is a relatively long file, we can truncate it to whatever we like. So let's just try something like this. Truncate it to, let's say, 34,542. Yeah, 3. Yeah, there we go. That's a good number. All right, now we could run this, and it'll just return. Now, let's just run this just to show the output. This is worth seeing by itself. There we go. Now it's saying wait for recovery to complete before further updating this file. So let's ls it. We're going to notice this file's been truncated. See how it's a little bit smaller? And it may or may not be replicating still. We don't know. So yeah, so we trim the file. The change might be replicating to other HDFS nodes. You want to wait for that or make sure it's complete before doing anything with the file. Now you can use the -w to make sure you're waiting for that. So let's make this a little bit smaller. Make that as 0 and -w. Now I'm not sure what part it's actually truncated and which part it's waiting, but it doesn't give us that command saying, oh, please wait for block recovery. It's basically confirmed that block recovery is done. At least that's my understanding of how this works. Yeah, don't bet your career on it. No. If you're doing something super critical in production, make sure you know what you're doing. Yeah, don't trust me so much that you get yourself fired for something, which won't happen. Let's see. All right, another very useful command is the usage command. So HDFS DFS -usage, and let's just say ls. You can get the usage of the ls command. Now that's different from just typing ls. See, this gives you the usage in one nice easy thing. If you just type this command, it gives you the usage of the HDFS DFS command and not the usage of ls. So it's still pretty useful to use use the usage command. Usage ls is better than just typing ls and looking at the error message. I mean, you could look at the error message for it, and it's going to show you ls in here, and you'll see the usage here, right? But you could say usage ls and get the exact usage here, and it's going to give you like the generic options and exactly how to do it instead of just giving you this. So that's the benefit of that. Now, difference between a lot of people ask what the difference is between let's scroll to the bottom here. Difference between the HDFS DFS and the Hadoop FS commands. So Hadoop FS manages all file systems like local HDFS and S3. So you could use that for any. That's totally valid. The recommended command for just HDFS is HDFS DFS, and I kind of like it. See, then there's the Hadoop DFS command, which is a valid command. It's specific to HDFS, but it's deprecated. So let's try each of these. You can mostly use them interchangeably. So let's try a command like HDFS DFS ls. We've used this a lot, and it has we know how it works. So let's say if we try to do Hadoop DFS. There you go. It works, but it says warning. The use of this script is deprecated, attempting to use HDFS DFS instead. Alright, so it basically uses HDFS DFS when you try Hadoop DFS. But you could say Hadoop FS, and it won't give you any message about it being deprecated. So there you go. So that answers that. All right, so if you guys found this useful or interesting, and you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And if you like this video at all, just give me a quick thumbs up. It helps out a lot. And if you want to be updated when a new video comes out, or I make a newer, better version of this video, you want to see an update in YouTube, just click the little bell icon, and you'll get an alert when a new video comes out. I don't think they email you or anything, but you'll just get a little alert within YouTube, just like any of the other channels. And if you have any comments or criticisms, feel free to leave a comment. If you want to tell me that you dislike the video, I still want to hear about it. Leave that in the comments. Like or dislike, praise or whatever else. Anything you want to say, I want to hear about it. Throw it in the comments. Tell me how you feel. And as always, thanks for watching.